Star Wars Battlefront 2 was my worst gaming purchase of 2017, and here's why. I'm sure many of you have heard the controversy around Star Wars Battlefront and its loot box system. It made headlines everywhere. It was pulled into the limelight of many news outlets all over the world, and the gaming industry was in uproar over the way that the game handled its progression system and how focused on microtransactions and greedy practices the game was. And it's not the reason why I feel that Battlefront 2 is the worst purchase for me. For me, it's actually the game itself. And I revisited the game yesterday and was left sorely disappointed. The whole original idea was to go back to Star Wars Battlefront 2 and to play it, to join some online matches, to see how it's holding up, what the community's like, and just get a general feel for how the game is performing these days after everything's died down, after EA has removed its supply drop loot box system. And I couldn't do that purely because I did not find a single player online. I sat in lobbies, I joined every game mode that I could find, and I could not find a single person. Not one person joined. It was me alone in every single lobby. I was really surprised, I'm not gonna lie. I expected the game to have a lower player count, but I didn't expect for there to be not a single person playing this game that I could find. Granted, the game is probably still alive on PS4, but for PC, the game is just an absolute ghost town. I bought Star Wars Battlefront 2 at the same time that I bought COD World War II and Destiny 2. World War II and Destiny 2, both for me, were much more fun and much more of an enjoyable experience than Battlefront 2. I played it on launch, I played the campaign, completed it on every difficulty, tried to get all the achievements and stuff just because I was really interested in the story, and I was really looking forward to playing a Star Wars game in the modern era. The story was a little bit of a letdown, but we're not here to talk about the story today. So yeah, not a single person was online. I could not get into a match, so I figured that I would go into the arcade mode and play some custom games. I'd load up a big map and just have a huge battle and just play it out against bots, and that'll still give me a general sense of how the systems are performing and stuff like that. Just if I can't play against people, I'll play against bots and judge it on that aspect. So I went into custom matches. I picked a map that I was comfortable with, which was Hoth. I remember playing this back in the original Star Wars Battlefront 2, loaded it up, and to my dismay, discovered that it was little more than a glorified team deathmatch mode, with there only being 10 players on a team at one time, meaning that there was no large-scale battles. Of course, the next mode I tried was Onslaught, which is basically just a wave-based mode, and in no way resembles what I was trying to achieve. And then you have Space Battles and Space Battles Onslaught. I just sat there dumbfounded, thinking, this is it? I can't even go into a custom game and have an all-out war. I can't go into a custom game and have scenarios that I want. I can't actually do anything that I want to do in this custom mode except run around on really small enclosed versions of huge maps and shoot at really boring AI. I really wanted to be able to experience the full scale of Battlefront 2, even if it was against bots. The huge maps, the objective game modes, just all of that. Get in a tank, do some damage, have a bit of fun. That's what I wanted to do. And Star Wars Battlefront 2 just denied me by saying, this is our version of fun for custom games, this is how you're going to play it. Needless to say, I tried it for 2 games and then quit. And I could have finished the video here. I could have done a whole rant about how terrible I think Battlefront 2 is at this point, how dead it is, how terrible the whole thing was, and that it was such a waste of money for me. And then I remembered the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. Of which I still have a disc copy for. I bought this game years ago. I went into an EB Games, I bought it back before it was on Steam, back before Steam was really a thing. I had this game. This was back when I was around 10 or 11. But my history with this game actually goes back further than that. The first time that I ever played Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original, was on a Wii. I played it at my local library back in 2008, 2009. Once a week, my mom would take me into the library, and for 1 hour, I could play anything I wanted on their systems, And I remember playing Star Wars Battlefront 2. I wasn't very good at it. I never really got very far. I just played the campaign, but I loved it. I loved running around as a clone trooper. I loved experimenting. I'd wait a whole week for that 1 hour, every hour, and I loved it. When I was given the opportunity to be able to buy it for myself and play it, I jumped at it. I dropped, I think it was like $25 on the game, and installed it on my PC and played it, and played it, and played it, and played it, and played it. I think that was my game for an entire 12 months. I completed the campaign, I completed Galactic Conquest, I completed the campaign again, I did all of the custom matches, I did the secret game modes, I researched cheats, I came up with custom scenarios. I basically just spent so much time in this game doing whatever I wanted and having so much fun. To a little kid like me, it was everything that I wanted in a Star Wars game. I never played it online. It was always offline just because I didn't really know about that stuff back then, and I'm not sure my parents would have been comfortable with me playing online shooters. But me just running around in what was then to me a mature game, a game that I felt so grown up playing, it was so much fun. So I put in the disc and I played it for a couple of hours. And it's just as much fun as I remember. Every time I play this game, or I have played this game since the time that I played it as a kid on a crappy laptop, on a really crappy laptop. The game used to run at like maybe 30 to 40 FPS, but back then I didn't know anything about frames per second or anything like that. I just, you know, played the game. That's what it is. You put in the disc, you booted up the game, and you played it. I wasn't aware of technicalities or anything like that, but every time I've gone back to play it since, the nostalgia has always been so bright for that game. I remember just sitting in my room, hunched over, playing the game for hours and hours and hours. A lot of people played Minecraft for hours as a kid. I played Star Wars Battlefront 2. And so when the newer was announced and they promised to have a better system to have fixed all the flaws, they apologized for the first Star Wars Battlefront, which really went down like a lead balloon in terms of content and in terms of a quality game. I was really excited. I dropped $80 on it, and out of all the games that I've bought and played, this is the game that I think I've got the least amount of enjoyment out of in terms of my money. It just seems so lifeless, so soulless. The game is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I would rather play the older game at 720p like I have done for years and just experience everything that that game has to offer, because it was made with passion. It was made with a loving team behind it that put a lot of time and effort into making sure that the game had so much content and make sure there was so much you could do in the game. Coming to this game, it just feels like it is the least amount of effort you could put into a game to get the maximum amount of money out of a person. It just feels so soulless, and the fact that there is nobody playing this game now when the game is not even 2 years old speaks to how people have received the game. And I guess it is a little bit of a sad story to see a newer gamer of this state just completely die. I think it would have been so much better if the game had have been openly praised, if everyone had have loved the game with all of its terrible systems. If that had to been widely praised, then who knows what the next Star Wars game would be like. I don't know if there is going to be a Star Wars Battlefront 3, and if there is, I'm definitely not going to pre-order it, and I'm not going to put money down on it in any way until I know for a fact that the game is actually worth playing. It all sounds great, doesn't it? The Star Wars license in the hand of DICE, the people that made Battlefield. I mean, when I first heard this, that there was a Star Wars game being made by DICE, my mind just blew with possibilities. Imagine all the systems of a Battlefield game, but in the Star Wars universe, being able to spot people, being able to upgrade your guns with attachments and stuff like that, full-on squad gameplay, just huge battles across huge, epic, gorgeous-looking maps. Doesn't that sound like one of the best video games ever? Doesn't it sound like something that you just love to play? What we got was a very watered-down shooter. Its systems were lacking in any kind of depth, they still are. It had a really unintuitive and boring upgrade system, and just relied fully on the Star Wars name and the Star Wars brand to carry it. Sure, the classic game didn't have character customization, it didn't have class customization, it didn't have loot boxes, and it didn't have weapon customization. But it had Galactic Conquest, it had instant action with 4 game modes, it had war, it had hidden game modes, it had cheat codes, it had heroes versus villains if you knew how to set it up right. It had space battles with dynamic ship fights. You could go into an enemy's hangar, take over their ship and destroy it from the inside out, or You could fly around the ship on the outside, slowly picking off and destroying its systems. It had a wonderfully voiced campaign and an awesome story set across the Star Wars galaxy with the 501st Legion, and I think I've played that story like 100 times. And I'd still go back to play it now, just hearing the voices of the clone troopers. I love it. There were so many little hidden details and things that took me so long to learn in the game. For example, it took me so long to figure out in the game that if you press the right button, you can have a squad mate follow you and have up to 4 squad mates chasing you around the map. I think it took me a couple months to figure that out. Not to mention how varied and interesting and fun the different classes were. Not to mention all the vehicles and how ridiculous AI was and how you could exploit it. Everything about this game just screams at how much love there was behind the development team. And everything about the new game just feels clinical. It feels like if I have fun in this game, it'll be because I have to make it fun, not because the game was made to be fun. So anyway guys, I thought I'd just bring you down a little bit of a nostalgia trip with Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original and the newer game. Let me know what you guys think about it down below. Have you played Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original or the newer game? What did you think about them both? Do you have any memories around the franchise? Let me know down below. I'm really interested to hear your stories. Other than that guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I shall see you, beautiful people, in the next video.